maybe Bill knows what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, what time happens?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize it.
Remember visiting your property last night, Kenny?
I'd like to start this meeting with the pledge, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anybody else want
They opened the window.
I don't want anybody to get it.
Okay, we have no minutes tonight, so Al Mayo, you're up first.
I've got something. Yeah, we got something.
Quote to replace electric service at Templeton Center.
Well, we'll give her
Good evening.
We've had problems with the electric service that services the Christmas tree in Templeton Center for the last couple of years. The breaker continues to just pop to the neutral position every time we put a load on it for lights. So my concern is that as we get closer to the Christmas season and we need the lights for the Christmas tree lighting, it hasn't been working as well as it should. I had it tested. One of the contractors came in and he did put a new plug, figuring that might just be a quick fix. It didn't work. It still goes to the neutral position every time we put lights on it. So I did go out to 3 or 4 different vendors and ask for quotes. I got one quote back from Advanced Electrical Contracting. His quote is for the amount of $648, and that's to put in the new service from the pole all the way to the tree with underground conduit. The cemetery department is going to trench the trench for him, so with the backhoe, so to save some money there. And so I'm asking that you award the contract to him. The main reason I did this route is for a couple reasons. One is that selectmen have to enter into a contract, and the other reason is that I wanted him to carry the insurance because he is doing electrical work in the town. So I just felt it was important, even though it's only $648.
And this is coming out of your expense account?
Yes, it will be coming out of our expense account.
Were there any other bids?
I contacted 3 or 4 different vendors, and he was the only one that responded.
Any questions for Al?
I'll make a motion to award the contract to Advanced Electrical Contracting not to exceed $648 to improve the electrical service of the Templeton Center for the Christmas tree. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
All right, that's first. Then you also have, looks like you've been in touch with the members of the Common Improvement Committee.
Actually, I haven't. Kate did a lot of the work doing that. They responded to her, and I've been working with her to get this done. We do have a list of 7. I believe Kate has that list.
We have 5. Huh?
5, and then Alan and
Charlie.
Carol have already.
Have already been done, okay. So there's a list of 5 names for the Templeton Common Improvement Committee expiring June 30th, 2013.
I do too. I have 4.
Oh, I have a 5th one that she just gave me.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna read them. So.
All right, read them.
It's Robert Whalen, Clem Young, Tom Cook, Dennis Rich, and Mike Dixon is the 5th one.
I make a motion to appoint the people as read to the Templeton Common Improvement Committee. Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Yep. Expiration 13.
13, that's how I read it, yeah, 2013. Yeah, she typed 12.
Yeah.
They already expired.
Don't say that.
Any other comments? What?
Who seconded it? I did.
Virginia did. Seeing none. Patrick?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
I have one question.
Okay.
The tree at the Triangle in Baldwinville looks
Yes.
like it's in a state of decline.
Has been for several years. The problem is that it's such a large tree, if we cut it down and replant, it's gonna be very small, and people aren't gonna be happy with that either. So we're trying to salvage it as long as we can.
Okay, I was just,
At some
becoming
point,
really noticeable.
yeah, at some point, we're gonna have to do something with it.
Is there enough room so we could plant one right behind it or something and let it start growing and then?
No, there really isn't, because if you plant them too close, what happens is they stunt on one side, especially those kind of trees. So it really needs the room to grow, so. I'm sure we could get a decent sized one, probably a 25-footer to replant, and but it's not gonna be the 65-footer that's there now, you know.
But it'd still be bigger than Templeton Centers.
That was growing.
That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Phil.
You're all done.
Good evening. Okay.
Make sure you,
We all have, is that the contract?
just want to make sure you have.
Yeah, we all have it.
We all have that.
And I will say, when we had, this was on our agenda 2 weeks ago, and the only reason we didn't do any action, there was nobody there to answer questions.
Yes, I understand.
So,
Wasn't
because
aware it was on the agenda and I wasn't around.
well, we were at the understanding that somebody from the board was going to be here, and they didn't show
And
up,
I
so.
think, something got mixed up, so. Table,
happens.
here I am. Basically, this is a MOU to provide inspectional services for Barry for $1,500 a month, basically $18,000 for the year. An opportunity, if folks think it's a good idea, then agree with it. If you don't, then don't agree with it, and life continues on. People talk about regionalization. Sometimes the opportunities come around, some of them don't. They have a part-time position, basically, that they've been trying to fill. I saw an opportunity and pursued it with talking with my board. I also kept Jeff Ritter in the loop, town coordinator. Both boards are in agreement to move forward with this. Looking at this, it's basically a pilot. If you look at number 13, either party may terminate this agreement for any reason within a 30-day notice. So it's not working for them, they can do so. It's not working for us, same thing. It's not meant to be any long-term agreement that can't be gotten out of. You know, it's not making. We're not joining a district. We're not creating a district. Basically, Section 9. Providing environmental inspectional services, basically all the Title V related activities of food inspections, any housing, if needed. I mean, I go to all the Emergency Preparedness Coalition meetings, most of them. They want me to rep them, I can do that. We do a vaccine clinic a year, they do a vaccine clinic a year. They need assistance. That would also be part of this and be available for consultation. Sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's an email. This is the animal control MOU that it's basically that, just changed in the sense the stuff that didn't apply. You had stuff about cars and other kind of things. There will be some fuel costs. Roughly, I'll be logging time over to Barry if this goes through. I don't see me running over there. I try to group things together, like just how I group things here. Sometimes you do have to run out. Someone calls, you have a system to check, but then I also try to do other things while I'm out. I'd rather start off in the day, then go out and come back. Normally that's what I do. So Would there be times where I would run over there for one thing? Maybe. Would there be other times where I would spend, you know, part of a morning, probably, trying to use the time better? The other part of this is, if you were to be in agreement with this, I have an article in town meeting to take some money from one administrative assistant to put it into my salary account, so I'd be at 40 hours. We haven't brought that person back to 35 as of right now. We're looking to, this revenue would go into general fund. It's not going to go into a revolving fund, it would go right into general fund. Since everything seems to be revenue-based, you know, this opportunity brings more revenue. That's really the straight of it.
Virginia?
Early in September, Mr. Spring and I went to a regionalization conference. And do we have another copy of this for Mr. Ledger? The letter, the letter you got?
I have somewhere, I'll look for mine.
And I wrote this to the board because I think there's a better opportunity for us if we hold off for a bit. And I'll read it again. I don't know, most of the people have already heard this one, but as you are all aware, we have been looking for ways to cut our operating costs and have significant, without having significant negative effect on services that we provide to the community. On September 10th, I attended a regionalization conference that was provided by the Mass Municipal Association, and it was very enlightening. Upon my return to town, I began researching to determine where we could take advantage of a large cost savings by regionalizing one or more of our department/positions. Since that time, I've accumulated a great deal of information, and I am still waiting for more to come. I would have presented all of this to the Board of Selectmen for their consideration once I had this information all available. Since that time, however, we have been presented with a proposed plan from the health agent with regard to a similar idea. My request is that we table his proposal until which time we have explored regionalizing our health agent position for the coming year. Before I presented this to the board, I would like to have discussed it with the board, with the health agent, but since his plan has already been presented, this has jumped forward sooner than I would have presented it. It is my belief that if we are diligent with our research and preparation, that we can save the town a lot more money than by just jumping on this MOU submitted by Mr. Ledger. I am confident that we can find an already regionalized group that would be willing to take us on. Also, I believe that if we find one or more communities that are larger than ours, that we may be able to relieve ourselves of the liability of the benefits, insurances, and other costs, as we did with the animal control officer. This process of regionalization is going to be our saving grace for the future. I would therefore ask you to consider not accepting this agreement with Mr. Ledger and waiting for more information about regionalizing this position in the coming year. This is what I wrote to the board. We did not act on it because nobody came to that meeting, so I certainly, I like the fact that you're thinking along those lines. That's what we all need to be thinking about now. But I think that if we can find a community that's willing to take on the benefits and take control of the whole situation, that we can just get into something for a lot less money and a lot less liability.
Oh, can I interrupt?
Sure.
We have chairs in here if you guys, if you folks.
Take a break, I'm going to grab 3 of them.
Okay, I'll wait for you, for them to come in. I don't want anybody to be in the hall and saying that they can't hear what's going on.
You're at capacity yet.
Right. Sorry, I just wanted to get those people inside. I'm sorry, Virginia.
No, that's all right. I'm all set. I'm all set.
Julie?
The questions that I had a few of them written down last time. My major concern is the landfill in Barry. That's under the control of the Board of Health, and that would take up a lot of time.
It's not one of the things that I specifically talked about that I would provide service for, and it's not doesn't mention it in the agreement at all. Basically, it's inspectional services. You know, they do have a landfill, no doubt about it. It's not something that I specifically laid out at all.
But is it under the control of the Board of Health?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're looking to increase the tonnage.
And it's their decision-making as far as site assignment and their authority, but it's not something that I included in the agreement. As you can see, if you look at section 13.
I know it doesn't include it. That's was my
But,
concern, is that it didn't include it.
That's, would be, I understand your concern. I mean, it would be also for me, my priority, I need to do work for here, obviously. That's why there's a out for us as well as for them. If I can't do, I'm really putting myself on the line here for this opportunity to bring in revenue. And that's really the straight of it. And if you feel, you know, you don't want to do it, then not do it. But I'm not sure exactly, Virginia, which groups you think are out there that would be willing to take us on in the sense of the animal control. I'm not sure which ones are you alluding to.
The animal control has been taken over
No, I
by the city
understand
of
that, but I
Gardner.
mean, which communities are you talking about going
I have letters
forward?
out to about 40 communities right now.
And so are they in the area?
Yes, yeah, and there is a regional, there is already a regionalized group for health out of Fitchburg,
We're part of that.
and I haven't, right,
We're
so,
part of that network.
that's
We're
right.
very involved in.
So we
beginning
need to
of
try
that.
to take advantage of that and see if we can get into a better situation than we're in now, and we could save a lot of money like that.
I want to ask Virginia a question first. Any proposed combination, you know, that you are looking into, would that start as of July 1,
Would be
2014, 2013?
13, yes.
So for FY 2014?
Yeah.
Okay. So would it be within the realm of possibility if we added another number in here saying that Mr. Ledger would not be involved with the landfill in Barry at all?
The way this is worded, the way it is written,
Yeah.
it's very ambiguous, and I don't want to go there. I'm not going to support this, okay?
I'm just throwing it out.
I understand, I know. You know, I have questions about the vehicle. You mentioned fuel. Are you using the town vehicle to go over to Barry?
Not now.
No.
Of course not.
No, would you be? That's what
Would you be?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that was part of the plan, and that's not explicitly stated in here either. So that's more wear and tear, more fuel. I think it really needs to be analyzed much more closely before we would ever consider entering into an MOU. Just the whole landfill issue, I'm not going there. Barry has a landfill, not going there.
Make it our problem.
Any other questions, concerns?
Yep. Well, looking at it from a financial standpoint, because as I mentioned last time, once I was aware of this, I looked at what Barry was requirements are today. They've had a standing thing for a 24-hour agent. Looking at the finances from that particular point, it really does not pay for this community to look at that. There is not that much benefit. There's more benefit for Barry than there is for the town of Templeton from that standpoint. I don't think we can end up going into that type of situation and end up supporting another community when we have our own financial problems within the community, and it's going to end up even being worse next year. So if we could end up going into another regionalization and divest ourselves for some of the costs of what we presently have, that would probably be a better way to end up approaching it. and I have to agree with Virginia. I mean, she and I have talked about this since we have gone to that regionalization conference.
I was going to say the same thing that Will said. If our financial state is worse than it is right now, I can't see us taking on another community. I can see us going in with a, you are right, Virginia, I can see us going in with a regionalized, because there's no way we're going to be able to support a full-time person, not on our own. So I think she's right.
Thank you. I was listening, I was just
Yeah, I know.
distracted.
It's all right.
Bob, that one's gotta be closed.
Try not to let any
Can I
mosquitoes
say
in.
something, Chris?
It's Bob first.
Just an observation and a comment. Since we regionalized the animal control with Gardner and Hubbardston, it's been 3 months maybe, I have not seen the animal control officer or the animal control truck in Templeton.
I have-
So we must be saving a lot of money.
Peter?
If it's such a good deal and we're in scrap, why don't we have the health agent work for our town one day a week, like we have Jerry Collins, and let him go to Berry and work 4 days a week?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We don't have no work. Jerry Collins did it 12 years ago. Jerry managed everything in town, there was plenty of building. He left, take it over. Jerry Collins is your health agent at the time, hell of a nice man.
Any other questions from the board?
Chris,
Yes.
you know, Pete has his way, but he's true about that. Back then, we did not even have a secretary in the office.
That's right.
And the Board of Health people were working full-time, and he would come in 1 day a week and take care of the things, because it was no building boom at that time. Well, we certainly don't have a building boom now. So in a way, Pete's right. We could maybe do with a part-time person.
I don't think we want to keep going
But
backwards.
anyway. Well, no, but you can only pay for what you can afford.
Oh, I understand that, and you know, but regulations aren't what they were 20 years ago either.
This was 20 years ago, this is 11.
So, well, yes.
I'll just state this, it's not that I don't have enough to do. Again, it was an opportunity for $18,000 to come in to the general fund. That's the crux of it. I want to support it, I understand it, I'll go on to the next thing. I see opportunities, I'm going to pursue them. I've been involved with regional groups for many, many years, involved with that the network for many years. Mass Cost Cooperative, Solid Waste Cooperative, plus our Regional Emergency Preparedness Coalition has brought a lot of money into this town. It's bought all our office equipment. The town has not paid a cent for any of our computers, any of our printing, or any of our copy machines. So I understand, you know, you went to one meeting on regionalization. I understand what state is putting out there. We've been dealing with this in public health for many, many years. So, you know, that being said, if you don't want to support it, you don't want to support it. And, you know, we'll go on to the next thing.
I think
The idea was okay. I mean, once again, I'm glad that you're thinking along those lines. I'm glad that people are taking on a different mindset about these things. It's just, I really think at this time, number one, this is a very, very loose contract, if you will. And
But it's the same one you have for the ACO. It's the same one, minus the,
There's a lot of
the
details in the
assessment for a car. It's the exact same one.
there's a
It's
lot of
really-
details in the ACO contract.
It's the ones that didn't pertain to this situation that were taken out. So it was about assessment, it was about the buying a car, you know, those kinds of things. So, but that's the same, what I got from Jeff. So I didn't do anything, it just changed some of the information, that's it. So,
And it may be that and I hope not, but it may be that we end up failing to be able to find a group. And if that's the case, maybe we'll have to return and look at something like this again.
sometimes a group starts with 2, and then you add on from there. And that's kind of what the ACO, we started with Hubbardston and Templeton, and then you we're able to get a larger community such as Gardner involved, but it started with Hubbardston and Templeton.
Right.
And so here's one with a neighboring town, so sometimes that's what it takes. It takes two towns to get together,
May I ask you
and
a
then some
question?
of the other towns may come on board if it makes sense.
May I ask you a question? I've been told that you work for many different
I do
communities.
some per diem work for other communities on my own time, yes.
Okay, so you're not a
When I'm in
regular.
Templeton, I'm in Templeton. When I'm not in Templeton, I'm someplace else. So, like today, I was in Templeton 8 to 4. At 4 o'clock, I was other places doing other work. And now I'm back in Templeton.
Okay. Would you mind filling me in on what other communities these are?
I do some per diem work for Phillipston.
Okay.
I do some for New Salem. Do some for Priya Sam. I do some for Royalston. I've been doing some for Barry. Occasionally I do some for New Braintree. But it's all on my own time. And it's all per diem. So I'm not their employee, basically contractor.
Okay. So all of those places are still operating with just a per diem health agent?
At the moment, yes. But they're also, smaller communities.
Right, they are
Um,
small.
Salem has like, one food establishment, a school.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Somebody want to make a motion either way? That way we can officially let Barry know one way or the other what our decision is.
I would move that we not go with the MOU that was provided to us.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your time.
All right, next thing we have is the bond payment for 252 Ballinville Road. We actually discussed this last Monday at our meeting, but we did not take action on it because we wanted to wait and take action on it when we were on cable, so people that aren't here could see what we were going to do. So that's why we held off on the action on it last Monday night. That being said, for those of you that were at the meeting last Monday, we had some options on how to pay off our loan for 252 Ballinville Road. We are going to put a debt on the $700,000 that we have spent, and the $1.2 million we will rescind back to the bank and not keep that money any longer because we don't need it. So the debt we need to go into is a $700,000 loan. And I believe, I don't even know what we decided, we wanted to do like
Well,
five.
Right, we didn't take a vote.
No, but we-
I think.
It was
we
going to be
went
a
over
State
the
House loan.
options.
Yeah. So we're gonna go with
The
this.
State House loan note was the cheapest way to go.
Right.
The information that we had in front of us is from First Southwest Company, and that would be, it's not the same as a State House loan, but the interest rates were very similar. So for a 5-year loan, if we chose to pay it back over a 5-year term, the $700,000 would incur $66,000 in interest over 5 years, and the payments would be much higher up front. About 100, it would start at 160 and go down, the last payment would be about 143, if you include all the charges in it. Then we had a 7-year option, and I believe that net interest cost was 3.2%. Okay, so for the 7-year option, we chose to pay back the $700,000 over 7 years. The interest for that whole 7 years would be $89,000, call it $90,000, and the payments would be smaller each year. The first payment that would be due would be $120 and go down to a low of $101. All of this money that we have to come up with to pay back these loans has to come out of our operating budget under the levy limit, and that's why it's so tough. Okay, we had that meeting before town meeting to try to get our budget into balance, and we made a number of cuts. We cut people's hours, positions were cut. We had to do that just to have a balanced budget. That didn't include this debt. So this is an additional cut that we're going to have to look at making for our budget for next year. Then there's a 10-year option. Okay, you're spreading it out over a longer period of time. It's still the original $700,000 principal. The interest would be $125,000. And the yearly payments would range from a high of $91,000, make it $92,000, down to $71,000. It would go down a little bit each year. So, my opinion, the way I'm leaning right now, is to go with the 5-year. It's going to be more painful, but it will be over with quicker, and then it will be on the books and off the books. I voted the same way when it came to the senior center. We had options for 1, 3, or 5 years. And, you know, I took a lot of flack for it, and I'll probably take a lot of flack for this. But I think it turned out being a good decision to have it on the tax rate. It was on the tax rate, now it's off the tax rate. So it was a hit, you took it, you paid it, and now it's gone. And we have a ton of debt that we're going to have to deal with. We have over $17 million in long-term debt. This will add to that number, okay? But we can't go out and put it as an override question. It all has to come out of our operating budget, the money that we have to live with for the year. So my recommendation is, I'll make a motion, then we can have discussion. I'll make a motion that we go with the 5-year State House loan note to pay back the $700,000.
I'll second it so we can discuss.
Okay. So maybe second we'll discuss, and then we can decide if we want to do that, if we want to go longer. Comments on the board? Julie, we heard Julie's opinion.
Those are pretty hurtful payments.
They are.
What if we put the property up for sale immediately and try to get it out there?
We still have to pay this. We've been saying that.
I understand. However, we had other things going on that the police chief was interested in it, and there's different things going on. I think we need to put it up for sale now, get what we can get for it, so we can reduce that number as low as we can get it.
Yes, so
Pumpkins, that's a good piece of land.
Could Julie repeat the figures? Do you have the lifetime of the loan? How much we'd have to pay for interest for 5 years and then for 10 years?
Okay.
Yeah, can you just repeat that, please?
All right. And these are estimates, it's based on different percentages. The
Right.
5-year is $66,088.75. That's just the interest payment.
Right,
Okay.
that's for
That's
the
the
whole 5
total
The
years?
whole 5 years.
Okay.
Okay. The interest payment for 7 years, $89,537.78, 78 cents. Okay, just the interest. And then the 10-year is $125,061.81.
So you're talking about this stuff.
Mr. Dents.
We say that it's going to be on the tax rate. Well, this will not increase the tax rate, will it?
No, I said it would not be, we can't raise it.
It has to be under
By a debt exclusion, it has to be under the levy limit. So we have to cut our budget by whatever amount we choose.
It's not on the tax rate.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just thought you said it was on the tax rate.
Said it was not.
I said it was not.
Not.
I understand what it has to be.
All right.
I want to make sure that people understand.
Okay, Chris?
Yeah.
I agree with what Virginia says. I believe that the building should be put up for sale, but we have to go out for the borrowing.
Right away.
It has to be done by November.
Yeah.
If we put the building up for sale, and we're fortunate enough to sell it and actually get some money for the property, and don't take too much of a bath, then that money, I believe, should go to stabilization so we can put it aside for future payments for this loan.
Or
Just see what
pay
I'm
it
saying.
off. I asked Tammy, and she said there was no on these type of loans, that there's no penalty for paying them off ahead of time.
Right, I don't think we're gonna get 700,000.
Oh, I don't think we are either. I don't think we are either. But whatever we get, I think should be dumped on that loan.
Put on the loan?
Yeah.
And that would reduce our yearly payment.
Exactly.
Yes.
Aren't there some houses out there that we could sell also?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
That's on my agenda. Sue?
You know, okay, we have to pay back this $700,000. I mean, it's kind of like just taking $700,000 and throwing it up in the air. I mean, because we've lost it. I agree with Julie, 5 years, get it done with, and in the meantime, commit to 5 years, and in the meantime, get rid of the building, get rid of the surplus land, give, as I said, every meeting for the past how many meetings, give the treasurer and the collector support so they can go after what's owed in back taxes, and then you won't have to take so much out of the budget.
That's also on my agenda tonight.
I think we're rushing quickly.
What, you're stealing all my thunder?
Yep.
Any other discussion? Will?
From a financial standpoint, as painful as it was going to be,
Speak up.
as painful as this process is going to be, 5 years is the best way to get rid of it off our books quickly. And also look at the other options. I mean, I know that this year was going to be tough. This is why I had talked about looking at this particular loan for many months before we came to this juncture. I didn't know it was going to be this painful because I hadn't gone out, but I'm not the treasurer and it didn't go up to the bond market per se. But it has to be done, it has to be done, and we should try to take and end up doing it, living with it, and trying to take a look at our other options, going ahead financially, and take and try to look at that and try to reduce the amount of pain, and also, as you heard me say again, put money into stabilization because we are not in good shape here. Whatever we can end up doing in that respect would be, as far as I'm concerned, the right way to go.
And just one other sidelight on this payment schedule. That first large payment that Julie mentioned will be on May of 2014, not 2013. So it's a year and a half. So it does give us a little bit of time to get these other things done. Our May 2013 payment will be very small because it's only for a partial year.
What's very small?
Well, 11,000 compared to the 91,000.
Right,
Very small.
but what they're saying is 2014, if we haven't sold anything, or if we don't move on selling things, we're gonna have the problem of that 100 and whatever thousand.
The 91,600.
The 14 budget.
Yeah. So,
This is, just as a pointer here, that 11,000 is actually less than half of what the interest we're paying on the 1.9 now. So people have a gauge that we're actually reducing the amount for this particular year on our payment. So that's, I look at that as a plus, that we can end up using.
yeah, and that will give us time to get those properties, other properties sold that we want to try to sell, which we're going to bring up in a little bit. So, any other discussion? We have a motion on the floor to go with the 5-year payback plan. Oh, actually, you know what? I was reading you the 10-year number, Sue. I was reading the 10-year number. The May 1st, 2013 would be 11,000, like 10.9, and then May 1st, 2014 will be the 160.
60.
So
160.
yes.
160.
Yeah.
That's big difference.
That's a joke, yeah.
Well, I was reading the 10-year payment plan.
We've already lost 700,000. Why lose any more?
Right. Okay. So we do have a motion on the floor to go with the 5-year State House loan note. It's been seconded. We've had discussion. I will now take a vote. Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Okay. So we will go, that's the way we will go.
We don't get it?
While we're on this line of thinking before we get into our next item on the list, last week it was mentioned and maybe even 2 weeks ago, that we have 3 or 4, is it 4 properties that are cleared, and ours?
We have one that's waiting for its final decree from land court, which I did mention to Jeff, so that if we could, or no, I didn't mention to Jeff, I mentioned it to Tammy, and that I think we should turn over to the attorney just to do the last step in it. But then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 parcels we own, all but 2 of them. 3 out of the 5 are probably could, you know, the other 2 are just probably gonna go to the abutters, but the 3, there's 3 there that are good. Hey.
They're all cleared, they're ours?
They are ours.
We've waited the length of time?
Yes, we have. They are free and clear, and they are ours.
Okay.
And then anything else is up to, it's, here it is, you buy it, and then you do your due diligence to do whatever you want to do with it. We don't promise anything. We
Okay.
just say it's for sale.
All right, so who would start the process to put these on the market? Would it be the collector, or would it be
I believe
us?
it's Mr. Ritter, and it just can be put in the newspaper.
Like advertise for sale, we do an auction.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Sealed
there are
bids.
3, Sue, to correct the record, there are 3 properties that we could auction, proverbially speaking, tomorrow. It'll take us a few days to get paperwork. Get the
I've got
newspaper.
4. I've got 5 rather altogether.
I only know of 3 in my files, so we'll have
Who
to
you
double
got?
check.
Who you got?
So do we
I don't have the files.
Oh.
do we have to hire
I don't do this.
Do-
You do.
Is this an open auction or a sealed bid auction? How does it work, or can we do it either
You
way?
can do it either way. I mean, it's, you want to get the most money, and you can do it either, you know, set a rate or a sealed bid, or just a, you know, what do I want to say, a real-time auction. You can even do it online and say, submit a bid and watch the price go up, and the highest bidder, when you close, gets the property.
Sue?
I was gonna say, I wouldn't waste the money with like an auctioneer. I know
Right.
Gardner just did some recently where they put it in the paper, give us your best offer, you know, whatever.
Well, I like the
Yeah.
notion of putting it on the
I
website, it just,
was gonna say with people
because it drives the
jumping.
price up. If there's 2 people that want to bid, it's just like having an auction in the room, you drive the price up.
Yeah.
Just so to speak, do it off your website.
Well,
As a minimum, I think we should look at what those properties, the taxes that were owed, and that should be the least we would end up entertaining on those properties, at least to get back what's owed in taxes on those properties.
I would hope we could make more.
I would hope so with Virginia also, but I'm trying to think and at least put a bottom line number here, not knowing what the market will bear right today.
I don't know if that's feasible, but I do know that, I don't really know, I mean, I wish somebody was here from the treasurer's office, because that's their end of it, not my end of it. I can just tell we owe it, you know.
yeah.
I mean, something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna see, I honestly don't think you're gonna see these parcels go for, you know, $5,000. They're built, I mean, to me, they're big enough to be building lots. Let me clarify that, I'm not promising anything. They are in the area of septic systems, not town sewer or town water. You know,
Is it just land?
yes, they're all,
Okay.
well, except for the one on River Road,
Okay.
It's a demolition.
which is a house that needs to be torn down,
Yeah.
bulldozed.
Okay. Kurt, did you have anything?
Yeah, one of my questions, I wonder if it was just parcels or if it was subject, but the only thing was that, I mean, you can look at 2 different ways. If you do a curb auction or like Jeff Ritter had said, online, if you get somebody that really interested in the parcels, willing to pay 25 or 30, and there's no activity, they may walk away with it for $2,500. So you have the right to refuse any and all offers, so I would encourage maybe go with a sealed bid the first round to see what you got for numbers, because if somebody wants it bad enough, they're gonna.
That might be a good
I
idea.
mean, I go to auctions sometimes, and it's just like, you go, and I ain't gonna spend more than this, and you find out you picked it up for not even a fraction of that. You're not gonna start high, you're gonna start as low as possible,
Right.
so just include the bond.
So maybe we can do a little bit of exploring, figure out at our next meeting how we want to get these on the market and then get it done after our next meeting.
We'll get some
That'll give us
specific information on 5 parcels to see what that's.
Okay.
And if you're gonna do it this year, you should try to do it before snow flies, so people are
Right.
interested can actually get out and physically walk the parcels.
Yeah, we're actually not meeting
Not saying,
for like
you know,
3
the
weeks.
snow's gonna fly.
And then they can pull their building permit, and conservation says they won't go out after snow, so they can get their building permit like that.
Yes.
I know, I don't know about land auctions, but I know in other types of auctions that it is a typical practice to put a reserve price down that the property won't sell for less.
Minimum, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. But
Can we?
You're not required to sell them at all.
No, why not?
Reject all,
We can
we can
keep
reject
them if we
all.
want.
Reject any and all bids. So Kevin's right, but it's kind of a moot point, which is send us your best price, your last best offer. And if we don't like any of the bids we get, we just reject them and try again, or whatever you want to do.
Well, then to that end, someone needs to figure out what that number is that you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the bottom line?
Okay. So is everybody okay with holding off till our next meeting? Or?
Do you estimate our next meeting?
Yeah, I know.
Probably the 19th, the third Monday, because we won't meet the second week, because there's a hearing on there's a hearing Tuesday night, we're not meeting Monday because it's a holiday, and then Thursday's town meeting, so. I think if we go Monday the 19th.
No, I know.
The hearing for.
It's fine with me.
No, the hearing is for something down on Baldwin Road. Right, and then the other item was trying to get some paperwork going on these delinquent taxes so we can start collecting some of this money. I guess we're gonna need to know how much money we need to do that, because I know she needs, she needs money to start the process.
That's correct. Carol Lee and the treasurer do not have adequate expense accounts to spend a lot of money doing tax title, legal work, and/or advertising, putting especially ads in the newspaper, which are not inexpensive. So that's really been the holdup.
Yes, sir.
Is that mandatory that she put in the newspaper, the entire thing, or can she put in the newspaper, please see Town of Templeton website? Because I know she says it's about $1,500 for that one-page ad.
I can't answer the question, but I believe, in my mind, that you simply produce a short notice in the paper and not the detail, what you're saying.
In the meantime, before she puts it in the newspaper, is there any problem or any liability with the town just putting a list on the website?
Absolutely not. It's a public list today. I know, let me state for the record that Templeton seems to believe that this is a privileged and confidential matter. For the record, all tax documents are public. All people in arrears the day after a tax payment is due is a matter of public record, and we have not historically in this town published this information. But it is public. Anyone can walk in and ask for it, and it must be given to that person. And to be blunt about it, we could put it up on the website, and that would be that. It's out there. I know it's embarrassing to people, but it's just a fact that it's a public record.
Sometimes it spurs people to pay.
Yes.
Will.
Yes, as I stated at the last meeting, one of the considerations too around taxes that are owed, the board should be looking at the fact that no licenses or permits for anything in town should be issued to somebody that owes the town money, whether it's on that particular property or other property that they own in the community. I think we had quite a long discussion about that at the last meeting.
Sue?
Yeah, to follow up on Will's, our bylaw says they can be a year behind. So if it's November 1st or December 1st, and somebody is reapplying for their 2013 license, okay, they, as long as they paid their November 2011 payment, they're okay. And that's what we have to change in the bylaw, which I think we have to wait till May. That has to be changed, because, I mean, that's just too long. And the other thing is, when you read the bylaw, and I know it's being done a little bit different, I know I've come across, for instances, where somebody gets a building permit, it's being asked if that parcel's taxes are paid up, not being asked if that person owes other taxes in town. And that person ends up getting a permit, but they haven't paid the taxes on their other property. And that's what's got to be looked at, and maybe just a letter to the building department saying, please run the person's name along with the person's parcel number that they're trying to work on to do that. Because if you look at this, 2011 as of the end of September, 56 outstanding accounts. 2012 fiscal year, now everybody remember, we're in 13 now, our second payment is due in a couple of weeks. 2012, 172 outstanding accounts, you know? You want me to give you the dollar amounts?
Please.
Yeah.
Here's all our extra hours, 216,000 for 2012. And this is not American Tissue Mills. This is not what's in tax title. This is what is still in Carol Lee's office, 2011 and 2012. We're now in 13. This stuff should be all in tax title. You stand the chance of somebody either filing for bankruptcy, we lose our place. And then we have to wait till the bankruptcy is or we've had, for instance, we've had parcels change hands with the lawyer's office not doing a good title report or not getting the correct information or whatever, and we end up with, you know, with, oh gosh, it's now in this person's name, and guess what? There's still $2,600 due from the past person. I mean, granted, it stays, but it creates a little glitch.
Say me.
Huh?
Take cash much.
No. No. No, I'm not saying anybody's name, I'm just saying.
So I think we need to find some money so we can get pursuant on this tour.
Exactly.
That's a lot of money that we really need, and we can deficit spend for part of that, right?
I believe, I know, yeah, I know on the recap sheet, help me out here, Mr. Dennis. There is a spot for tax
Yes, tax
taking-
title expense.
Tax title, and I
taking
think,
expenses.
I think that's either from one of them's allowed to. But in the meantime, you know, the website is free.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a link. I have a link on my webpage that you can link, and you can look up parcel, you can look up assessments by address and by people's name. I mean, that's all you need is a link. On the tax collector's page, link to delinquent taxes.
Yeah.
Watch how fast the money starts coming in.
And I know, actually, I talked to Kathy Mattson, and she's getting concerned that our space on our website is getting rather full.
It's just because we need to delete old records off the
Yeah,
website.
I think so. Because, yeah, minutes don't need to stay up there forever. Correct. But I think,
The minutes come off fairly regularly, don't they?
well, in ours, but now other boards are putting theirs on. So, but I think we need to really get going on this and start trying to recap some of that money.
Well, just as a point of fact, we voted in May $2,000 for tax lien expenses. So we may want to consider an article for the special to increase that.
Because I think we really need to get on that. That's a lot of money. And I think Sue's right. Once they realize that we're taking action, then a lot of them, they may stop paying it. So I'm good to go on that as soon as we can. Even if it's just getting it on the webpage and putting something simple in the guide to news for Yes.
Should we make some move to change the bylaw too?
But that has to go in the May, that has to go on annual town meeting. Bylaws cannot be done at special town meeting. I don't believe.
Correct.
Yes.
So can you guys vote to, when people are going for these license or a building permit or whatever, can we not issue that because they haven't paid taxes on any of their property?
Well, as Sue said, right now, our bylaw says that they can be a year in arrears before we can do that.
What about the year before?
So,
Yeah, then you can.
if they're over a year in arrears, then yes, we can do that.
Maybe we should also send a letter to Carolee that our expectation is that this work will be done sooner rather than later. Maybe we want to pick a time. To put it on the website is not going to cost a dime.
Right.
And also, maybe she could give us some kind of an estimate of what she thinks it would, how much money she would need to take care of these things.
Right.
Yeah, so we can...
Yeah, so I'm going to make a motion that we send a memo to Carolee, the collector, to post the FY11 and FY12 delinquencies onto the webpage.
I'll second that.
Is there a time limit?
Yeah.
As to when?
Yeah, time.
That should be just a few clicks of a button.
I mean, I don't know how
By
heavy the
Christmas.
workload is.
By Christmas, you want to do it by Christmas?
Because by Christmas, my next quarter bills will be coming up.
All right, so, but we're talking about FY11 and FY12.
Right, so
Okay.
you don't want to, you want to clean up the stuff before you keep sending the new ones out. Because if they're not paying the old, they're not going to pay
Right.
the new either.
My motion was for 11 and 12,
Yeah.
not for 13.
No, I know, I'm just,
Okay.
I was just making a joke.
I mean, I don't know, not knowing how heavy her workload is, how soon she can get that done, but I would hope she could get it done in 45 days or so.
I think she could do it by the end of the week, to be honest
Yes.
with
Give her 2 weeks.
you. The list is there, it's individual names, you may want to, extract certain data.
Yeah.
You just want, I think that common sense would indicate you want to name it an amount,
A name, yeah.
an
And
individual.
then if they want more information, they can come down and find out.
I will cause a memo to be sent to the name of the board.
So you want to say, just for Chuckles, give her 2 weeks, say November 2nd or November 1st? Thursday, November 1st.
Yes.
Okay.
By then, that's when the new ones do.
So maybe they can pay both.
Chris, just to make you understand.